carpet over.
Yeah, I mentioned it, so that's great.
Okay.
Okay, we're live streaming. I'm going to mute.
Should we mute?
You do?
No.
Oh.
I'm watching the little clock in the corner of, here we go. Yes. There we go. Good morning. Guests, members, friends, good morning to yet another online service at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Catskills. I'm Catherine Catabiani, member of the UU Catskills Worship Committee. Next week, Reverend Bob Janice Dillon will be speaking on cultivating relationships. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. Unitarian Universalism is a non-creedal religious faith that welcomes all seekers. Here at UU Catskills, we affirm Black Lives Matter. We are a welcoming congregation for members of the LGBTQ community. We are a congregational affiliate of the Ulster Immigrant Defense Network, and we are active voices in the effort to address climate change. Thank you for joining us this morning. Please stay muted. If you're new, we encourage you to visit our website at uucatskills.org. Or if you'd like to be added to the mailing list, you may add your email to the chat box or online. You're invited to stay connected after the service, where there will be breakout rooms where you can visit with new friends and old friends. One way that we stay in relationship is with our community circles. These are groups composed of people who live in the same relative area, who meet on Zoom and in person. If you're interested in joining one, you can contact the office at uucatskills.org. Okay, contacts. There we go. Oh, grief support. Our announcements for this week. Grief support group will not be happening tonight. However, if you are ever interested, just contact the office and they will put you in contact with that. Monday, the Buddha Cats from 5 to 6. It's Zoom. And if you're interested in that, you can contact Karen Wicks-Lindsay. Thursday is bedtime story and more. Friday, from 11 to 12 at the Academy Green, you can join the Climate Action Group to stand there, wear your yellow shirt if you can, bring a sign if you can. By the way, next week's service is live and on Zoom. So if you want to attend and you haven't already requested permission and shown that you're vaccinated and ready to roll, you can contact us. Special thank you today to Kathy Kastner, who is our technical host, and to Kristen Shara and Don Critchell, who are our ushers. Just a reminder, Zoom is a challenging technology, so we ask your forgiveness for any unexpected hiccups. So put aside your concerns and enter this sacred space and time. Our prelude today is played by our own Bill Toole. He's going to play Autumn Song from October. It is the October selection from The Seasons by Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky. Okay, please join me for our unison affirmation. It's coming. There we go. May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love to all living beings. May we know once again that we are not isolated, but connected in wonder and joy to mystery and miracle in the universe, in this community, and in each other. Our opening words are from the Teal songbook, Singing the Journey. It's a song from our pagan tradition. Each verse calls upon one of the four directions and one of the elements. The first verse calls upon Mother Earth. Mother Earth, beloved garden, living treasure underfoot. All our days you ground our being, sage and thistle, grass and root, herbs to heal us, plants to feed us with the pendant, deep as midnight. North we ask you, be here now. All right, we're going to light our chalices now with the children.
We light this chalice in grateful, loving community.
Even in the darkest of times,
its flame like paths to courage, justice, and hope.
Our first song is going to be the Garden Song by David Mallet.
Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rain come tumbling down. Pulling weeds, picking stones, we are made of dreams and bones. Feel the need to grow my own, for the time is close at hand. Grain for grain, sun and rain, find my way in nature's chain. Tune my body and my brain to the music of the land. Inch by inch, row by row, inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rain comes tumbling down. Plant your rows straight and long, seasoned with a prayer and song. Mother Earth will make you strong if you give her love and care. There's an old crow watching hungrily from his perch on yonder tree. In my garden I'm as free as that feathered thief up there. Inch by inch, row by row, inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rain come tumbling down. One more time, inch by inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rain comes tumbling down.
The theme of the service today is cultivating relationship. I don't feel qualified to speak about human relationships, but I realized in this season of harvest how important and complicated is our relationship with Mother Earth. I'd like to share some wisdom that I have gleaned from my garden. So it's billed as kid-friendly, but the service is also overgrown with metaphors for the adults. 5 lessons interspersed with the song of some of my feathered friends. Thank you. Because you're going to need the visual for this one. There is a Facebook post about sunflowers and how they follow the sun. From the east in the morning to the west when the sun sets. But as the post says, when it is overcast, when the clouds cover the sun, the flowers face each other. And there's a photo of 2 sunflowers bending toward each other, almost touching, sharing their energy. The meme says that we should learn a lesson from this. First, that we should turn to each other when things are dark, when our lives are cloudy, and when we're sad and discouraged. We should look to one another for support. Share our energy. Imagine if we did this. What a lovely thought. But the facts about the sunflowers are not quite correct. They don't face each other. However, the truth is even better. Sunflowers do indeed follow the sun, a tendency called heliotropism. Even the young ones that haven't bloomed yet turn from east to west over the course of the day. And then amazingly, they bend from west to east at night so they can absorb as much sunlight as they can when the sun rises in the morning. And this is because they have an internal clock, a circadian rhythm, just like a human's internal clock that regulates our sleep and wakefulness. During the day, they follow the sun, and at night, in the sun's absence, they face east again, just waiting for the sun to return. And they do this until they get old, going from east to west, when they stop moving. And then go back to the east. The old flowers await visits from insects that will spread the pollen and make new sunflowers. And these flowers will too follow the sun. The lesson? Hope. Trusting that the sun will rise each morning, that it is still there when it's cloudy. When all is dark, remember the world keeps spinning. Face east. The sun will rise. Trust Mother Earth. It's going to be okay. It's a lesson of faith, I think. When they liberated concentration camps after World War II, they found on the wall of one of them a long quote, and it begins, "I believe in the sun even when it is not shining. I believe in love even when I feel it not. And I believe in God even when he is silent." There's our crow watching our gardens. Lesson of the volunteers. There's a song from the musical, The Fantastics, in which the fathers sing, "Plant a carrot, get a carrot, never any doubt. That's why I love vegetables, like you know what they're about." Well, as a home gardener, I can tell you that that is not true. I have planted carrots. The moles ate them from below, and the woodchuck annihilated the tops. 2021 was not a good year for summer squash either. And although my cherry tomatoes flourished, my big tomatoes did not. But it was a good year for volunteers. When you enrich your soil with the compost using last year's vegetable waste, you're bound to get some unexpected plants in unpredictable places. Stray cherry tomatoes in the arugula, unknown squashes in the parsley, I think they're delicatas, a sunflower in the middle of the lawn. and a vine that grew from my compost up the hill, and which, after much guessing as to how it would identify, is producing pumpkins. It also turns out that that insidious weed that crowds out my lettuce is in the cress family and is edible. And that invasive Japanese knotweed that has bolted up in my meadow is valued by some beekeepers as an important source of nectar for honeybees at a time of year when little else is flowering. And ground feeding songbirds can eat the seeds. And don't forget the dandelion with their nutritious leaves, which I noticed in the first song was being dug up. All told, my volunteers did much better this year than the garden I planted. Lesson. What can you learn about relationships from volunteers? Be open to blessings, to possibilities. Value the weeds that appear in your life. They may blossom and turn out to be nutritious and perhaps even beautiful. Rose-breasted grosbeak. Lesson of the companion plants. Companion planting is the practice of growing different plants together. Certain combinations make them more productive, often because they require different things or complement one another. I planted basil next to my tomatoes to repel harmful insects, but also to attract bees, which will improve pollination, tomato health, and flavor. It worked for the cherry tomatoes. A familiar example of companion planting is the three sisters: corn, climbing beans, squash. The Native Americans knew the tall corn would support the climbing beans, and the beans would improve the soil, and the low-growing squash would shade the ground to prevent moisture loss, and its big prickly leaves would discourage weeds and pests. Nasturtiums attract very hungry caterpillars away from the cabbage and the broccoli. Parsley draws insects away from the tomatoes. Tall trees, tall plants shade the small ones. Lettuce, radishes, and other quick-growing plants sown between hills of melons or squash will mature and be harvested long before the vines need more legroom. Lesson? Howard Thurman once wrote, there are two questions that a person must ask themselves. The first is, where am I going? And the second is, who will go with me? Who will go with me? Well, find friends who complement you. As we now know, monoculture depletes the soil. The quick-growing radishes of this congregation complement the slower-growing but more deeply rooted melons. The friends who offer shade when you need it, give you nutrients when they're lacking, nurture each other's gifts, complement one another in community. That's the warbling vireo. Okay, it's time for our offering. Our congregation is sustained by your generous gifts. For the month of October, we're sharing our plate with Sustainable Hudson Valley. Sustainable Hudson Valley's mission is to speed up, scale up, jazz up, and leverage progress against climate change, creating communities where people and nature thrive. There are several ways to contribute to UU Catskills. You can check out the slide. You can share, you can text, you can go online. I think we were warned this week not to do the phone app, but you can also do it the old-fashioned way and send your donation to UUCC on Sauk Hill Road. Our offertory is The Reaper's Song from the album For the Young by Robert Schumann, which Bill Toole will play for us. That is an ivory-billed woodpecker, which this week the US Wildlife said is considered extinct. The lesson of the worms. When I was young and working in my dad's garden, my father told me, honor the worms. They eat their way through the garden soil, leaving networks of tunnels that let in water and air. Beneath my feet in the soil, they were aerating and mixing it up. Aristotle said worms are the intestines of the earth. An abundance of earthworms is generally considered beneficial by farmers and gardeners, but it seems that the common night crawler, my dad's worms, are invaders. Earthworms did not exist on this continent before the Europeans came. In the land of the native people, the leaves piled up in great drifts on the forest floor. But in the 1600s, when the English began sending barrels of tobacco over to Europe, Europe could not send the barrels back empty. This is a familiar story. So the returning ships needed weight or ballast, and they filled the barrels with stones and gravel and British soil, which contained earthworms. And they dumped them here. The worms introduced began eating through the leaf litter, making a permanent change in the American landscape. The trees and shrubs that depended on the leaf litter for food died off, and the forests became more open and the ground better suited to European plants. Small things, big impact. Not only did the Europeans send the native people packing, but also their plants. Lesson. Maybe the lesson is about invaders. Earthworms are invasives, so am I, white European. Or maybe the lesson is about the Earth's reaction to change. We are told that all this crazy weather and the rising sea levels is a reaction to what we are doing to the planet. We are like the earthworms who have shifted the balance. But I'm not a softie about Mother Earth. She is a stern mother, brutal, demanding, and arbitrary. Earth doesn't react in a deliberate, conscious manner. She reacts in dramatic and often random ways. I think we all agree that we must cultivate a relationship with Mother Earth of respect, awe, and fear before she adjusts us out of existence. We cannot fully imagine our continent before the European earthworm. Interestingly, there were earthworms here before the last ice age. Considering the long timeline that Earth functions on, we're not going back. and we cannot imagine our future. But it is in our power to contribute, to take responsibility for that future. I think we all know the cardinal. The lesson of the cottonwood tree. There is an infuriating cottonwood tree in the woods by my garden, which sends out downy cotton fluff every spring. And that tree casts shade on my garden, and the fluff covers my flowers and is difficult to remove from my lettuces. Accursed cottonwood. I would cut it down, but our understanding of trees has grown up. We used to think of trees as striving, disconnected loners competing for water, nutrients, and sunlight, with the winners shading out the losers and sucking them dry. We now know that trees are communal. They form alliances with trees not only of their own kind, but other species. A forest is a superorganism in which trees live in cooperative, interdependent relationships. And trees communicate with one another, and they share nutrients through their roots, forming a complex system. Those fine hair-like tree roots join together with microscopic fungi filaments, like tiny threads, to form the basic links of the network. Scientists have found that the biggest, oldest trees in the forest with the most fungal connections help the smaller ones. With their deep roots, they draw up water for deep in the ground, and they make it available to shallow-rooted seedlings. Young saplings in a deeply shaded part of the forest survive because big trees pump sugar into their roots through the network. Why do trees share their resources and form alliances with trees of other species? Weren't we taught the law of natural selection suggests they should be competing with one another? But if you think about it, it makes sense. They live longer and reproduce more often when they work together in a healthy, stable forest. That's why they've evolved to help their neighbors. Sometimes I stand quietly in my garden, listening to the bird song and the breeze through the leaves of my accursed cottonwood tree. And then I widen my view and I see the woods around the tree, the whole community of the trees and the shrubs and the plants, the wild plants, all working together. Lesson? Well, trees have evolved to help each other, not compete for resources. Can we do that? Think not of our own individual needs, but think outside of ourselves. That is higher order thinking. It's interesting that the plants have figured that out before we have. Higher order thinking, considering the greater good. We are stronger when we mentor the young ones, cooperate, share resources. What affects you affects me. We are interconnected. Perhaps we need a little fungi to act as our intermediary. White-throated sparrow. Okay, we're going to end with a song. Turn the World Around, sung by Harry Belafonte and the Muppets. There are no words to follow, but that shouldn't keep you from singing and dancing along. Harry Belafonte found this song in the country of Guinea, where the African tradition tells a story about the fire, the sun, the water, and the earth. If we take time to understand one another, to be in right relationship, it says, we can turn the world around.
We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around.
We come from the fire, go back to the fire, turn the world around.
We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Whoa, oh, so is life.
Ah, so is life.
Whoa, oh, so is life.
Ah, so is life.
Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? Do I know who I am? See we one another clearly. Do we know who you are? Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Whoa,
so is life, Abatiwa. So is life.
whoa,
So is life, Abatiwa. So is life.
water make the river, river wash the mountain. Fire make the sunlight turn the world around.
Heart is love, the river, body is the mountain, spirit is the sunlight, turn the world around. We are of the spirit, truly of the spirit, only can the spirit turn the world around. We are of the spirit, truly of the spirit, only can the spirit turn the world around.
Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are?
Do you know who I am? Who I am? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are?
Do you know who I am?
See we one another clearly.
Do we know who we are?
Whoa, so
Is life Abatiwa? So is life.
whoa,
So is life Abatiwa? So is life.
whoa,
So is life Abatiwa? So is life.
whoa,
So is life Abatiwa? So is life.
whoa,
So is life Abatiwa? So is life.
whoa.
So is life Abatiwa? So
Okay. Our closing words are a story from the Muslim tradition. A farmer decided to adventure to a far-off land. Before he left, he found a caretaker to look after his property while he was away. The caretaker could grow whatever crops he liked on the land and keep whatever profit he made while the farmer was away. 1 year went by, 2 years disappeared, 10, 20 years flew by. When he arrived home, the farmer could immediately see that the caretaker had done an excellent job. The fields were green and lush. Fruit hung heavy on the branches of the trees. He could hear the bleats and the clucks of contented animals in the stable. The farm could not have been in better shape. When the caretaker recognized the farmer who'd left so many years ago, he invited him in for tea. The two men exchanged news and gossip, and the farmer thanked the caretaker heartily. And as the conversation was drawing to a close, the farmer asked, "So, where will you go now?" And the caretaker said, "Excuse me, go? Where would I go? After all these years of care and labor, surely the land belongs to me." The farmer was perplexed. "How could it possibly belong to you? It's mine, and it always has been." The two men argued for a long time, and finally the only thing they could agree on was to take their dispute to a wise woman in the local village. The wise woman listened carefully to each of their arguments. She was a little puzzled by the case. After a while, she said, "I say we consult a higher authority." The farmer and the caretaker wondered who that might be. Would they travel to the city and take their case before a court? The wise woman shook her head, and she walked with them back to the farm. When they arrived, the wise woman lay down on the ground and placed her ear next to the earth. The farmer and caretaker watched. The wise woman lay there for a long time. Finally, she stood up, brushed off her robe, and declared, "The land belongs to neither of you." "What?" They both cried out. "No, the land belongs to neither of you. You belong to the earth." Oops. Just lost my... Here. Now we're going to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. Go in peace with Mother Earth. Everyone is invited to stay online for breakout rooms, and thank you very much, Dawn, Kristen, and especially Kathy.